Well, this weekend marks the start of Bristol being European Green Capital. The city won the accolade because judges were impressed by its track record on environmental issues, as well as its future ambitions. But it's got a real problem when it comes to transport, and finding a solution can pit green against green. Here's Paul Baltrop.
It's a delicate balancing act, not just for the performers at the launch party, but for the politicians behind Bristol's Green Capital Year. Bikes play a big part, especially when it comes to tackling traffic congestion. Improving that was part of Bristol's pledge for 2015.
The M32 is the gateway to Bristol and often one of its biggest traffic jams. So improving public transport around here is a top priority. Green-minded officials are pushing ahead with plans for what's called a metro bus network. But putting in bus lanes beside the motorway has angered the green-fingered folk whose allotments would be bulldozed.
It's quiet at this time of year, but in summer it's an ecological delight. 45 plot holders would be moved for the bus scheme, albeit to new allotments on the same site. They're angry.
It's terrible.
Meeting on Tuesday, they pledged to protest.
Everybody's saying they're going to lie down in front of the bulldozers and in front of the tree felling people. I'm prepared to get arrested. I'm prepared to do anything to save the land. I have a deep feeling for our land.
The project is well advanced. Councillors have visited schemes elsewhere. Plans for Bristol to get similar guided buses have won government approval and funding. They don't want it derailed by local opposition. Another of the city's big initiatives to tackle congestion has sparked wider dissent. Residents' parking zones are designed to cut commuting by car, but they're controversial. Will the people be won over? Yes, says the European official who oversees the Green Capital Award.
I have seen many cities in this competition for Green Award that have told me when we first started, people didn't like it. Pedestrian areas, not very popular in the beginning, but 2-3 years down the line, people wouldn't want to have it any other way any longer.
So some dissenting voices at Bristol's launch party. It seems it isn't easy being Green Capital.
Well, here to defend the Metrobus scheme, we're joined by the Assistant Mayor for Transport in Bristol. That's Labour's Mark Bradshaw. Thanks very much indeed for coming on. It is a bit of a poor compromise, isn't it?
No, it's a scheme that successive administrations in Bristol have worked on for over 9 years. It gives us the flexibility that we need. It gives us the extra capacity we need. Everybody says Bristol, wonderful place, love it, but the transport is lousy. We have to do something about it. We've got the funding. Now we need to get on with it.
Can you imagine Alex Salmond up in Scotland accepting a scheme like this? He'd say no. We want an underground or we want a tram.
Well, there are a growing number of UK cities and continental cities, including none, which was European Green Capital in 2013, that have Metrobus schemes. They give you the flexibility. They mean you don't have to dig up roads such as in Edinburgh, and they're quite cost effective.
But you've got to dig up a few allotments.
A small number of allotments. There will be no net loss in allotments. We'll be planting new trees. We've been talking to the various allotment holders. We would rather not do it, but those who know Junction 1 of the M32 coming into Bristol knows that it's overloaded already. We can't put more public transport through that route, so we have to find an alternative.
Molly, what a green dilemma. You've got a sustainable transport system in one hand. On the other hand, it wants to go through some allotments. Where are you going to be on that one?
I think actually there is a fairly simple solution here, which is that Bristol already has a lot of suburban railways that aren't used very much, and I think we could look towards investing in those and reviving them and get people into the city in that way. And actually this is not a very good scheme. My understanding is that in the peak times it will only bring 300 extra passengers into the city at a cost of 200 million. I just feel that's very bad value for money.
Bristol is a growing city. More people are coming here, more people are investing here, more people want to live here. We need the capacity. We are investing in rail, and I'm happy to send Molly the details of our £16 million bid to central government, for example, for the Port's Head line, to improve the Severn Beach line, lots of other rail improvements that we're keen to get done.
It's academic, though, isn't it? Because it's going to happen.
I think we've got money on the table for something that isn't going to solve the problem. And Molly's absolutely right about local rail. We've got a dormant railway circuit going around our city that we're not using. And actually, give Mark his due. Mark has been very good in pushing local rail as well. So I know, Mark, it's not either or with you. But what's so frustrating is our local decision makers, especially our local enterprise partnership, the business organisations who are supposed to push this to government, in their recent bid for funding to government, our local railway wasn't front and centre to it, and it should have been. It's an absolute no-brainer. And until we get our local railway infrastructure up and running like it could be, I just can't see the green capital being everything it's built up to be. That's what I want to see.
People have got very high hopes of the green capital, but actually it's just a series of talking shops, isn't it? And meanwhile, the bins are only collected once a fortnight. We've got a metro bus scheme that not everyone wants. The air pollution is a real problem. The big issues just aren't being tackled.
I wouldn't agree with you, and I was part of the first bid back in 2007-2008. We were upfront about our challenges, including transport. Actually, Metrobus was part of our bid to be European Green Capital 2015.
But let me just take you through some of the events of the Green Capital. I've been looking at the website. Last night there was a climate change conference in a church hall. Next month there's a seminar on retrofitting internal wall insulation.
Really important and interesting,
I've just booked you in.
I'd love to be
I've
there.
booked you in.
Do you know what? There's always this temptation to run things down, isn't there? We do that. That's what British people do. But there's a lot of excitement in the city. I think Bristol's already a very green city. And if we see the sort of cities we're being compared with now, like the wonderful Copenhagen, that's what we've got to live up to. And I think Bristol can do it. So let's all get behind this and make it work.
Are you behind it?
I'm completely behind it, but I want to see a green capital legacy which people will actually say, yeah, my life feels different because of this. And if we can do that, fantastic, and I'm prepared to get 1,000,000% behind it to help make that happen. But we can't be pie in the sky. We need to see a tangible difference, and I'd say some open railway lines.
Yeah, it has to tackle real issues. Transport congestion, air quality and energy poverty. That's why I mean,
what's going to be different? What's going to be when you come on this show in a year's time? What will be different?
Bristol is in the spotlight for that year. You can lever in the really latest thinking, innovation and creativity, not only in the country but internationally. That's always been the prize for me, because our challenges are very similar to many other cities. Let's actually work together, learn from each other and tackle the really important things that impact on our quality of life.
This is the sort of language of the big society, isn't it, funnily enough? It's those sort of words which are
that.
very difficult to get your head across.
What do you mean in practical terms? What's actually going to happen to people in Brislington as a result of it?
Well, for example, if you look at energy poverty, a real focus around insulation, helping people manage fuel bills, solar generation, lots of other things.
All right.
And on transport, investment in rail is really critical.
OK, I'll book you into that seminar as well.
Thank you.
Thank you. Well, there are just 101 days to go until